This is the Philanthropy Show, connecting and inspiring philanthropy.
Welcome to the Philanthropy Show. I'm your host, Luann Zaraga-Walters. How can we better prepare children for an increased educational experience? Studies now show that VPK, voluntary pre-kindergarten programs, effectively help children achieve more once they enter school. So today's show is for parents with children under 6 or anyone who is concerned about early learning, and very grateful to our guests who are coming on directly from the Early Learning Coalition of Tampa Bay, which Aakash Patel, who's a board member, chairman of the board there, and also Cynthia Rodriguez, former board member, and you are the owner and operator of Child Care Center.
Correct.
Development Center.
Child Development Center.
Child Development Center. So this is interesting because when I first started reading some of the information about the Ready Rosie program, which is what you're doing to help, I didn't realize, you do have to prepare your children to enter the environment of education to best learn in that it's a different system. You're at home and then all of a sudden, bam, you're in kindergarten in a completely different atmosphere. And how do you learn? And how do parents teach them? So let's go into a little bit of the background on this. Aakash, talk to me about the Early Learning Coalition and what it is. And then Cindy, I want to come over to you with the Ready Rosie program because I know you're very familiar with that.
Okay.
So what is early learning and how many coalitions are there and how do they become into existence?
Well, first of all, Luann, thank you so much for having us on the show today. I first learned about the Early Learning Coalition a few years ago when I was at a Leadership Florida seminar. Early learning was created in the state of Florida in the year 2000. In the year 2000, it was mandated by our legislature and our governor at the time that each region should have a coalition to manage our state tax dollars and fund school readiness, VPK, and our after-school Head Start programs. So in the state of Florida today, there are 30 coalitions. Hillsborough, by comparison, is the third largest coalition in the state.
Hillsborough County.
Hillsborough County. And the Early Learning Coalition of Hillsborough County is comprised of 26 board members. And we manage a budget of about $100 million, and we have a staff of about 29. And the board is comprised of providers, members of our school district, private sector citizens, and myself, gubernatorial appointees. Every chair of the coalition serves on the Governor's Early Learning Advisory Council, and we serve as the chair of our coalition. And I was honored that the governor called me in 2014 to serve as this appointment. It's a 4-year appointment, and we've got an amazing group of new board members, a lot of energy, and all of us want to do what you just said. We want to make sure that our children in Hillsborough County get the best education, get the best quality of education. We want to help parents, we want to help children, and we want them to be able to read. And that is why our board, one of the first initiatives we took on once I became chair was funded Ready Rosie. It was a unanimous decision, and rightfully so.
And so, Cindy, what is the Ready Rosie program?
Ready Rosie is a parent tool linked with technology that so many of the young parents use today. And it is a partnership that can be done, it can be done something that can be done at home. A parent doesn't need to have any special training ahead of time. It is just a visual aid to show an example of how you can bring teachable moments into every part of your aspect. Going to the grocery store, going for a walk at the park, and different things that you can do or the parents can do with those children to teach them things, foundational things that they will use when they get into either their childhood centers or into the VPK program.
Do you know, it's amazing if you think about it. We don't have any education about parenting. I mean, once you become pregnant as a couple, you have parenting classes that you can go to. But it's one of the most fundamentally important aspects that we have as a society, and yet we don't offer that. And so here you have, and part of that is, how do I raise my child? How do I help educate my child? How do I teach this infant anything? And how do we learn? And so the part of this that I think is really cool too is Ready Rosie is about how to teach a human being how to learn things in life. So it's not just about, yes, you want to increase vocabulary, yes, you want to learn how to learn math, but it's about how to learn. How to learn.
Correct, and it's a partnership that we can use as parents. Parents are the child's first teachers.
Wow.
When they get into a child care or child development center or into VPK program, if that's their first experience in that type of a setting, we immediately have to partnership with that parent and be on the same page and make sure that that parent is able to contribute and feel like they're contributing something to the parent. Because so many times parents do feel like they're not really equipped to contribute to the learning of the child, the academic learning. And this is a tool that gives them, you know, that ability to feel like they are contributing to the academic learning of the child.
By showing everyday instances in life.
Correct.
So we have a video clip that I want to show, and before we progress any further so that our audience understands the program that we're talking about, let's take a quick look at this clip.
Okay, Ruby, we've picked out our fruit, and now we need to weigh it. Think it's heavy or light? It's pretty heavy. Yeah, it looks like it's hard for you to hold. Let's see how many pounds it weighs. It's about 5 pounds. Okay, now let's see if our oranges, do you think they weigh more or less than the watermelon?
As easy as that, but so fundamental. I mean, look at what this parent is teaching the child, and that's encouraging because parents can do this anywhere. Here you're grocery shopping, and how much does the watermelon weigh? What's more? What's less? The theory of that, I didn't even think about it until watching that clip. How did this come into being, this program?
One of our staff members at the Early Learning Coalition of Hillsborough County was at a conference in Dallas and heard about this program. We as a board looked at it, and one of the things that Cindy mentioned that I completely agree with is everyone's busy. Parents are busy, children are busy, and so when we looked at this video, this comes by text message. So now we're talking about technology at its best. A 2-minute video every Monday through Friday is texted to a parent. They can watch it wherever, whenever.
Right there on their phone.
Right there on their phone, and they can start that dialogue. The other thing is that the coalition, we have a lot of parents that are that unfortunately don't know English, so they know Spanish. So this is a bilingual video,
That's wonderful.
That helps out the practicing of both English and Spanish at every time they interact. So when we saw this as a board, we said, you know what, if we're going to do this in Hillsborough County, let's try to affect at least 15,000 families.
Wow.
And to do that, it was a significant budget. We put it together, we passed it, and we are in the 5th month, and the results are amazing. And the other part of it is we are the first coalition in the state of Florida to adopt this. And I sat at the governor's Early Learning Advisory Council meeting last month, and everyone in Flagler County and Volusia County and Miami-Dade and Broward, they said, why didn't we think of that? And so what we are doing in Hillsborough County, people are watching, and that is so important because early learning every day changes, and now we took one thought, interacted it, funded it, and now we're seeing the difference from our providers, we're getting the feedback from our school district.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. How do you know that this program is having an effect on, and 15,000 families, that's a big target to start off with right off the bat. But how can you measure that? How do you know that they're having an effect? You see it in the kids. In other words, what's their performance look like?
I don't know that it's been long enough for us to really tell that type of the difference in that. What we see a difference right now is in the families that are using it. There's a word bank, so we have a little thing. Mine comes in every morning at 7 a.m. So if we set up our word bank, then when the parents come in, they see what the word bank is, the words that are introduced to the child and to the parent that day. And again, going to his bilingual, some of these parents are learning these words along with the children. So it helps both of them, empowering them to feel like they're moving forward in their learning process. The other thing it can do is you see the parents more involved in this. They feel like that's a connection between their child's school and what they can do, so they can, go back and say, did you learn this or did you learn that? And then the teachers in the school can also get that, the Ready Rosie, and look at it and incorporate some type of activity with that to reinforce that for the parents. So
and
it's
I like they're all on the
strong.
same page because you're sharing the same vocabulary. Everybody has the same word on that day, right? The same
Correct.
video
Right.
lesson, the same. This is interesting. So I want to talk about what that looks like in the classroom, and I like that teacher parent connection that you just talked about and how they're related. But we got to take a quick break. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with the Philanthropy Show.
This show sponsored in part by
My Paper Pusher. Consider it done.
Follow the Philanthropy Show on Facebook for behind-the-scenes action, polls, and commentary.
Welcome back. Talking today about the Ready Rosie program and early learning, and what we just got into it, Cindy, and we had to take a break, so I want to go back to that. Empowering the parents, who are oftentimes, as you've both said, a little scared. Here's this new child, this new experience. How do I educate this human being to get them anywhere? But now, the Ready Rosie program, I've been mentioning that it is pre-VK. No, voluntary pre-kindergarten, VPK. But it's also much younger than that. Tell me about that.
Correct. When you enroll, you put the age of your child or the age of the children that you have, and the video clips that you receive are pertinent to that child's age and the development of that child at that time. So it could be birth on up.
And so those videos are age appropriate? So like there are consistent word banks, there are consistent numbers, or I can't even imagine. Starting with your ABCs, how to teach your child your ABCs.
There's over 1,400 videos in English and Spanish that are available, and some of them show practical life lessons. So for instance, a 3-year-old might not know how to separate laundry and count, but one of the videos shows separate by colors and separate by numbers, and a 3-year-old can now use that life lesson with the parent and interact that way, so they can use the video lesson and make it practical to them. And the parents and the children, to how we measure success, there's a few different ways. Of course, there's actually people you can check on how many times the video is downloaded, because you have to sign up. So to go on our website at www.elch.org, that's how you sign up for Ready Rosie, and you get the free daily ding that Cindy was talking about. But the other ways, we hear from parents all the time the success stories. Our coalition staff members, our coalition board members, our providers, they get raving reviews from parents on CD interaction, because that 2-minute video turns into a whole day lesson and continuous. And that's how we're hoping. We're going to see the results very soon, because it's been, like I said, it's only been 5 months, but we're going to see the results very soon on actual numbers. But we know just from our dialogue and word of mouth that this investment's already paid off.
Well, there's lots of things that I like about this, and I want to go back again to that parental empowerment and the relationship with the teacher as well, because once they're in kindergarten, the parent already has a sense of having contributed to the child's education. Now, does that continue? Are you working with schools, kindergartens? I know you said on your board you have a couple of folks. How is that working with the educational system, tying the parents in together?
Well, we also have an after-school program. So we still have partnership things set up with the school-age children in terms of helping them with homework in the afternoon. How far do we go? How far, what do you want to do with your parent at home? You want to give them an edge and help them through the parts of the homework that the children are very comfortable with. But there's a little slippery slope there. You don't want to do too much with them on their problem areas, because then the parent, you're taking that place of the parent, and then the parent's not aware. So we have to constantly be communicating with them on where, we saved this for you because this is something you need to work on.
Because you want to engage the parent.
Correct.
In that model.
And that way they can go back to the teacher and work with the teacher on that.
But you're also making the parent a part of the child's educational experience. So they're not just going off to kindergarten somewhere and coming home and having their home life. The parent's engaged. The parent knows what's going on because you're interacting with them.
Correct.
That's
And
awesome.
we're improving the parent's life as well. That's something that people tend to forget, is that the parent, by interacting with a child, their skills are being toned. They've got a refresher on what they need to teach their child, and they're happier. And so the parent and the child learning together has been the big experience for me, because learning about the coalition and what they do around the state and talking to my peers, because this is really a complex issue, like great providers.
It's a very complex issue.
But we have some great dialogue going, and now we're moving in the right direction. People always focus on K through 12, and then I learned about early learning, and I realized, wow, we got to fix this to get to K through 12.
Let me cover real quickly with your government appointment, with your governor's appointment to the board chair and the other board chairs of the ELCs around Florida. Do you guys get together then, and once they have actually brought the Ready Rosie program in, theoretically, you could sit and talk about the benefits, the pros, the cons, what's working, what's not, the community's wide aspect, et cetera, so that then what? Then the governor can...
So legislation, and then also implementing a state or even a federal idea. So because in 2005, the Early Learning Coalition chairs So there's 30 of us, and one representative from the state of Speaker of the House, one representative from the Florida Senate, and one representative for the governor. So there's a total of 33 of us. We formed the Early Learning Advisory Council, where we share best practices. We meet quarterly.
Excellent.
We are mandated by the Office of Early Learning by the governor, and a lot of our issues could be just like this. Ready Rosie is great in Hillsborough. Now, how do we make it statewide? And then how do we help other counties? Or how do we, as a board? So, for instance, one of our board missions was to get a retreat together and figure out our vision statement and reinvent it. And so now, what does it look like in other coalitions? How do they do their vision statements and their mission statements? How do they do their retreats? And so it's just sharing best practices. And the purposes of it is exactly when we get a program like this, other coalitions can now adopt it and benchmark against us. And so it's come to be a friendly competition now with some of these coalitions, because Hillsborough has gotten a lot of name ID only because we have always had we have a huge school district here. And we have a lot of folks and so the school district employees that have found great ways to find improvement. And so we, with Miami and Broward and Palm Beach, all the other coalitions, we always have some friendly competition. And I think it's a really, really neat space to be in right now, because the governor himself has 4 grandchildren. And he is walking around with pictures of his grandchildren, and they're 0 through 4. His oldest is 4. And so they're all born when he took office. And he talks about early learning. The First Lady, Ann Scott, she's actually, the next 3 months, she's going to visit every coalition center. She's already visited 3 in Hillsborough, scheduled in 2 months. And so we're excited because we get to show off the great things that they are allowing us to do, because if they don't fund this kind of program, then these students and these parents don't get the opportunity.
So there's a lot of thought and shared best practices and whatnot behind it. There's a lot of interaction, and I like that, because it's not simply something that's in a silo in this little area, but it's actually enhancing lots of communities, and it's applicable in lots of places. And did you say Texas? The creators of the program were originally from Texas, so you might want to Google that, Texans, and look that up too. But one of the aspects that I find, and you said it's a very complex issue, which I think the program is also very complex. For parents to know, I would be thinking, well, how did they pick these words? How did they decide what the program is? What's the level of reading, and how does it increase with age? So how do they do that? Is there something available for parents to look at?
They have a word bank, but there are statistics out there that show that children who have a larger word bank, so to speak, children in poverty have a much less number of words in their vocabulary, as opposed to children who start off and do better.
They have a smaller vocabulary.
Correct.
Versus those who are maybe economically more well off, then they have a larger vocabulary. So it's evening the platform, the playing field, basically. So regardless of your economic status as a family, by participating in the program, everybody's learning together, right?
This is correct.
And so they come in and they have a better overall experience in school, which is very valuable. And I, as a parent, would really like that. I'm not a parent, but I would like it if I were a parent.
Yes.
The other aspect of that was when I was talking about how did they pick their words and stuff, isn't there a section in the Ready Rosie program for parents who want to know more?
There is. If you are a parent that really wants to get into the theory of why they do or why they choose the lessons that they choose, on your screen there's also a tab that you can click, and it shows the professor or a doctor or someone speaking to the issue of the psychology or the theory behind why that particular lesson is important. And there are some parents that could even compound on that and continue it on, but they do have the basic lesson, and then you can take that and add to it or subtract to it in your own lifestyle or in your own cultural environment to do that.
I think that's fabulous. I bet you guys were excited as a board when you first saw this program.
We are, because now day and age, everyone looks at their phones before they go to their first meeting for the day.
Easy distribution.
And so if there's now a Ready Rosie phone app, you can download the program that way, or you can go to elch.org, .com and just download the program that way. And when you think about the partnerships we have for our community, we have so many great organizations that have just jumped on board, and it's just funny you mentioned Texas, because everyone brags in Texas about when they live there, right? And so when the governor says the second day he moved to Florida, he wanted to make sure you brag about things in Florida and brag about things that are doing right. Well, the Early Learning Coalition has been doing things amazing for students and parents in Hillsborough County, and now we have this Ready Rosie program, which is kind of our flagship. We can brag about it, and we can, every time we brag about it, we have these cool little cards we give out to parents, and we just say, sign up, and we get the feedback.
And it's free. It's free to parents to participate in. It's free to sign up for the newsletter. That's wonderful. Well, we got to take another break, but we will come back, and still to come, our value tip of the week and truth or care. So we'll be right back.
This show sponsored in part by
Our studio sponsor, the Nonprofit Leadership Center of Tampa Bay.
The Philanthropy Show is on demand every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at both thephilanthropyshow.com and YouTube/WatchMVVP TV.
Hi, I'm Emily Benham, CEO of the Nonprofit Leadership Center, studio sponsor for The Philanthropy Show. Does your organization have a monthly newsletter that goes out 8, 10 times a year? I know that many do. My advice to you today, delay no longer. Make it a priority and keep it simple. Did you know that research shows that after a donor makes a gift, performance matters 20%, while exposure matters 65%? What does that mean? It means that we need to find creative ways to stay in front of them with news about our organizations and stories about the people we serve. I do a monthly email update for our board, focusing on 2 primary areas. First, our top goals and our progress to date. Secondly, I like to find an unusual story or dimension of our work and tell them about it in a personal way. A story of a student, a photo of a special thank you card, a list of all the nonprofits using our center in a 30-day period, things that they wouldn't necessarily know unless they worked here. I try to keep it to 2 pages or less and include at least 1 photo. I've gotten great feedback. Then I asked our major donors and former trustees if they would like to receive the same information. And guess what? They said yes. It's simple, timely, and effective. I hope that you put it at the top of your to-dos today. Thank you.
And thank you for the value tip of the week. So welcome back. We are talking about the Early Learning Coalition's Ready Rosie program. Early Learning Coalitions are coalitions all throughout Florida, and you probably have something similar to it in your state. But Cindy, is there any reason why a parent should not participate in this program?
This is a win-win for everybody. The parent has something that they can do with their child on the phone. It is educational. The parent is learning how to communicate with that child, teaching them, using anything that's happening in your daily life as a teachable moment. It brings that parent the first teacher to the child, and if they are involved in an early childhood program of any kind, hopefully that program will also be working with the Ready Rosie and that parent to, combine forces and give that child the best opportunity they can to, from birth on up, to get into VPK and on into kindergarten with a word bank that is big enough to allow them the opportunity to succeed to their fullest capability.
I love it. I mean, they made it easy because it's available on the phone. They made it even so that anybody participating in it can learn and gain new vocabulary words, and they've given the parents a tool to, in everyday experiences, whether it's doing laundry or it's going grocery shopping. I love the whole concept of it. I think it's great. How do you sign up for it? If I'm a parent, how do I get in touch with Hillsborough and sign up for it?
Well, for Hillsborough County, you go to our Early Learning Coalition Hillsborough County website. That's www.elchc.org.
ELCHC, Early Learning Coalition Hillsborough County, elchc.org.
And click on the Ready Rosie tab. It'll take you right through it. Sign up. It takes literally a minute, and you'll start getting your daily dings instantly. And let us know your feedback. Hopefully parents will appreciate it, and we want to hear how to improve at all times, because that's what we're here for. We're here working as it's a public service for our parents and our children, and I want to thank you for letting us come on the show and tell our story.
Well, and I also think that for those of you who are watching that are outside of Hillsborough County, but you're looking to have it, contact your local Early Learning Coalition and tell them, hey, bring this program here. Get on board.
And write your legislature, write your governor, because it's funded. That's who's paying for it, and and we really want to make sure that we continue this program.
That's fabulous. Awesome. Well, I'm going to segue us now into our trademark section, trademark segment, our Truth or Care, which is what is your heart's definition of philanthropy? So we can do Fickle Finger of Fate, or somebody can volunteer.
I'll volunteer.
Okay,
You know,
Aakash, thank you.
I am fortunate enough to have my own business, and I have young professionals that work for me, and the reason I mentor them to get involved in nonprofits is because when you get involved, you give back your time and your knowledge, you share your knowledge, and then you inspire others to give back and get involved when you do a project like an event or a walk, or in this case serving as a chair of a board. You inspire others to get involved. When you inspire others, they're motivated and their heart is in the right place. So I do it for those reasons.
Nice. Nice. And I like that you mentor too. That's cool.
It's very important.
Cindy?
Well, I started this business 25 years ago, and childcare looked completely different than it does now.
I bet it did.
But it is very gratifying when right now I have children of children that we are
cool.
caring for in the children. I've had staff
awesome.
that are children that work there in the past, putting them through college now and keeping them going. And it's very fulfilling when someone comes back to you and says, you know, Miss Cindy, when we were here, this and this happened, and it's something that made a difference in my life, and it's something that I hope that my children can have when I have one day. So I started out for one reason, and it has kind of morphed into something completely different. But I will tell you, we are super, super lucky in Hillsborough County to have a coalition that continues to work towards helping providers get what they get and do what they do. And you know, definitely there's always something more we can do. But the coalition here in Hillsborough County has really supported the provider community, and we hope we can continue.
And we'll
That's
do more.
Fabulous. Wonderful. Well, thank you both for coming on the show. It's been
Thank
a
you very
pleasure to
much.
have you.
Good to
Thank
see
you
you.
so
Thanks
much.
so much.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
And parents, get involved. And like you said too, if you're in another state, then reach out to your legislators, reach out to your governors, show them what this program is, because it is really effective. And if you have another program like it going on somewhere else in the country, tell us about it. We'd love to hear from you. TPS@myvideovoice.com. That wraps up the Philanthropy Show today. But have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.